Geek Dad Life presents Toy Geeks, a live toy talk show. Today we're going to talk about those McFarlane movie Maniacs and sports figures and, I don't know, our statues coming back. I don't like this. We're going to talk about that and more tonight on Toy Geeks. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Toy Geeks. My name is Jay, and with me tonight are very special guests. First has been on the show many times before. Very dear friend Ken from Toy Kennections.
Good evening. And you say sports as the Stanley Cup playoffs are on, and this Canadian team is finally back. My local team is finally back in it, and I'm sitting there like, all right, we got game one. It's going.
I wish you luck. The Hurricanes seem to be the odds favorite to win the Stanley Cup, so I'm sorry for that.
Not really.
And we also, but can you also work on the Delta 17 toy line? And we have founder of Delta 17 joining us as well. Steve, hello.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
I love your setup. Usually we try to get, our faces to fill up as much of the screen as possible. But you're like, no, put the figures forward.
Absolutely. I dig it. People don't want me. They're not going to buy me. They're going to buy this. So
I appreciate it. I appreciate the sentiment.
You can try to buy me, but my secondary market value, like anything vintage, is not very cheap anymore.
Just goes up and up, baby.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's say hello to the chat. It is hopping as always. Even when it takes me forever to make a post because I don't know what the main topic should be. But here we are. We've got Frankie Rivera, Fake Wood Table, Quip, Rob, Dora Laxian, Christopher Negri, Nick Dillinger, Make Mine Marvel, Dartherians in the house, Gady's Toys, Dora Laxian, James Vinipol, Toy Geekosaurus, A Matter of Pat in the house, Helder Santos, Stephen Lawrence, Angry Elf, Brian Carr is here as well, Mike Giorlico, Two Guys Talking Toys, Mecha Man Blade, KL in the house, Brian Brink, Master of the Charts, Keeper of the Inn, is here. Matt Bush as well. Mike Moen, J-Mac, and so many more. Thank you, everybody, for coming to hang out and talk toys with me tonight. We have a couple member anniversaries. J-Rod with a 20-month anniversary, and Gray Fox with a 20-month anniversary as well. Hello.
It's also the 2-year anniversary of your Patreon, I think. Now, I don't know about the day, but it was April of 2022, I'm pretty sure.
Ooh.
I know because that's when I quit somebody else's Patreon to make the money for this particular one. And you're like, don't do that. And I'm like, it's okay. He won't notice.
Well, thank you. I guess, everybody's been a patron for the past 2 years. I got a doozy of a Patreon or a Geek That After Dark tonight. I'll show that thumbnail in a second. But Andy Silva, 20 months, Quip, and Riley Bob as well. Thank you so much. Let me plus it in here. I finally did it. I'm finally changing my toy room and trying to execute on a vision I've had a while ago. And the big part of it is completely reimagining and resetting up my Mo2 display to incorporate the new Eternia in both the Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain, and all this custom built shelving and everything, and moving so many toys around. Some toys are not going to make the cut to stay in the toy room, Ken. Let's see, have you ever had to make that decision before? Like, I love you, but it's time to go.
A couple hundred times I've had to make that decision.
It happens, yeah.
Well, I'm talking about it in detail in After Dark tonight. So if you think about becoming a patron, come hang out. We'll talk about big life choices. Studio Henge here for 20 months as well. Slade to Leia. Absolutely, we'll keep the Inhumanoids. They're easy. They're right up there. They don't take up much space. Where are they at? There they are. Oh wait. There they are. Right there. But anyway, all right, gentlemen, let's talk some toy news. I struggled with finding a lead topic for tonight, mainly because it's kind of the calm before the storm. I feel like we have C2E2 coming up next weekend, and we had, I don't know if it was this past week or the week before. It was the week before. We had the Mondo crew on, I think it was 2 weeks ago. They were on and they mentioned, hey, get your streams ready because they have some big reveals at C2E2. So whatever that means is what it means. So I assume next week we're going to have some stuff. But yeah, I feel like this week was just kind of a chill week as far as the big toy reveals are concerned. How did you all feel about this past week in toy collecting?
It's all indie this week. You know what I mean? Like we had a little bit of Motu, but then there was AWOC Kickstarter ended. Galactic Valor is on right now. Dan Klingensmith's creating G.I. Joe Kickstarter is going on. We're here for indie reasons, but it just feels like that's what it's been this week. But for the big toy news, I know Toy Habits covered the 40th anniversary Voltron briefly.
Yeah.
On that.
Which I didn't watch Pixel Dan's review, but how different is it than the one that we already got from them a couple years back, that one?
I'm not 100% sure. The last Voltron I had was the diecast 20th anniversary version from many years ago. So I haven't actually looked too deeply into Voltron since then because, every time I see Voltron, I look away because it's like, it's one more thing to collect. Right?
Yeah.
I got scared by the Blitzway price and I haven't looked at Voltron
That's
since.
true.
I'm not saying it wasn't worth it. I'm saying I was scared of the price. That's all I mean.
Yeah.
So,
people in the
can't
chat
answer your questions. Okay,
people are saying it's basically the same, identical. Well, cool, because I got mine on clearance at Target for like, I don't know, $10 a line or something like that. So
wow.
Good to go.
Not bad.
Hey, it pays to live 5 minutes from a Target sometimes because somebody's like, I'm just gonna venture over to Target real quick, and then boom, there was a whole set.
Wow.
But anyway, the lead story tonight is it's really around these figures from McFarlane, and I feel like McFarlane just throws the kitchen sink in terms of the toys that they make, and sometimes that's for the best and sometimes it's for the worst. And there's a few of these movie Maniacs, and they've been doing this for a while. It's an old kind of brand that they've released figures for, but there is this element of does McFarlane just take his old playbook from the 90s and say, hey, this worked in 1997, let's play it back again, and it shows in the articulation of this figure, and then it even does the stupid limited edition of 3,600 pieces, like that is going to increase its value. And I love 40-Year-Old Virgin. It's a funny movie, but it also, for toy collectors, maybe it can be a bit of a divisive subject. But who's buying these? I don't know if this is actually something that people are buying. Ken, what are your thoughts on these movie Maniacs?
I mean, you got to give McFarlane a lot of credit because for the current, what I call the Renaissance era for toys, we give Four Horsemen all the credit for being kind of like the big indie makers. But really, McFarlane was the first to kind of break out on his own. It's just that Hasbro and Mattel were still growing at the time, so we kind of lump him in with the big guys. So I give McFarlane a lot of credit. It's just that I see this and I don't care that much. Like they call it a figure when it's advertised, and I'm looking for the articulation points and other poses, and I'm not seeing them, which tells me it's not
swivels
actually
at the arms.
If it's like the old like McFarlane sports picks, then maybe that's what it is, right? And you're right, it's a divisive movie because like I had first time like in my old home when I had the dedicated den room space as my toy room back around 2008. I had a friend, like nicest guy in the world, very religious dude, would never harm a fly. He walked in my room. He was so impressed. And the first thing he said is, no offense, but it reminds me of 40-Year-Old Virgin. Yes. And I went and said, I know. And of course, this was 2008, 2009. Toy collecting wasn't as prevalent as it is today. And as funny as the movie is, I don't necessarily go back and watch it anymore. You know what I mean? Like after a certain time, it didn't age that well for me. Maybe it's just me. It just no longer made my watch list anymore. Like the annual watch list along with the other stuff I like to watch.
Sure.
So,
no, 100%. Like it's hard. Even on the damn box, it says it loses its value if you take it out of the packaging,
That's such a McFarlane thing.
And I have my thoughts, but I'm going to save them for last. Steve, what's your thoughts on these? I mean, you are someone that has helped bring, some incredible highly articulated, but also retro and new at the same time figures. Does this kind of, I don't know, what does this mean to you when you see a toy company, I don't know, putting this kind of stuff out?
Well, I actually rushed out and bought the Big Lebowski one.
Ooh, okay.
So,
all right.
As soon as I heard that was going on, it was like, yeah, I love the dude. You know, I remember seeing that film, whatever it was, and early when it first came out, and I was like, oh man, this is my film. And there's many other people out there that love it as well. I think the dude will do well, just because he's such a strange, different character that we've never really seen in film before. You know, to have your hero be just like the biggest loser ever, right?
Yes,
it was quite a and the Big Lebowski, like, you know, the rewatch factor for that is very high. You can watch that twice a year for the rest of your life and still chuckle.
mm-hmm.
You know, so that one's a really good one. The other ones in the line, I have no interest for at all.
Yeah. It's just I think that's what it's trying to go for, right? It's trying to go for, or kind of hit that pop kind of thing where you're getting the casuals that just say, oh well, I love this movie, and you know, that's what we're going for. Or it's a gift, like you get it for like, oh yeah, you like Steve Carell.
Yeah.
Here's a figure of him, which again, it's a funny moment in the movie for sure. When he's getting his chest waxed, but it just doesn't do anything for me. I want to listen some of the chats here. We got Giraffe. I watch it every year on National Chest Hair Day.
That's a thing.
Listen, every day, everything has a holiday, so it makes sense. Derek Dalzell, those we pass off as free crap at next year's PowerCon.
Yep.
This especially, if you notice, they even know which one's going to sell more. The dude, even though it's limited edition, has 69,000 pieces.
Yep.
And this one has 3,600 pieces. Can't believe merch from 40 Virgin would be worth anything. Michael Traverso, this would make a neat Christmas ornament with a drill and hook. You know what? Actually, this works better as a Hallmark ornament. This is exactly what the Hallmark ornament would be.
Yeah.
Right? You would just click a little button and it would be like Kelly Clarkson or whatever, you know? Like,
yeah.
Maybe that's what it needs to be. Good call, Michael Traverso. Flash waiting for the Joker eyes, Steve Carell. Let's see. Nipples are glow in the dark.
Oh,
that's the Chase version.
And this spoke to me the most for anybody that's ever played White Elephant at Christmas time. They'll make great White Elephant gifts. This is the kind of thing that would show up in a White Elephant game, if anybody knows that game and how it's played. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like if you're gonna do this, get a pop, or is this better than a pop? Maybe this is better than a pop. I don't know. Ken, what do you think? Is this better than a pop or no?
No, I mean, okay, because it's got McFarlane on it and not Funko as far as pops are concerned, by default, it's supposed to be better than a pop, but then you actually look at it and you're just kind of like, yeah, you know, it's just another casual purchase that somebody walks by and goes, they'll just impulse buy it as a gag gift. That's kind of what it screams to me.
Yeah,
doesn't feel super collectible, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being a negative Nancy here. Usually I'm the positive one, you know? Right.
It's just that your collection reminds me of 40-Year-Old Virgin. It's the
yeah, but I'm over that. I'm over that comment. It was only 16 years ago. I'm over it. That's why I'm bringing it up now and dwelling on it.
I grew up in a household that ridiculed my toy collecting. So my father, I love him dearly, but he was very much an old school dad, and just gave me crap mercilessly about my toy collecting.
And then years later, you did a Padres podcast together, right?
So. Yeah, exactly. Or even doing a Lost podcast with him. But being like all the time teased about it. and how dorky I was about toy collecting, even as a little kid. When we saw this movie, we went and saw this movie. The second you see his toy room collection, he looked over and looked at me and just started, pointing and laughing. Essentially, he was just like, "This was his validation on me making fun of me for toy collecting."
Nice.
But I will say, all these years later, he has apologized for being a dick about it for 40 years almost.
As he watches this now and goes, no Sunday dinner for you.
Yeah.
Take two. I love this. Pity the fool who had to work on this portfolio highlight. Oh my god. Let's see. Brick something. Hell nah. A pop would be much better. The likeness is off, so this is not nearly as cool a representation of the movie as a pop would be. Yeah, exactly. I think this is just very vanilla sculpting. It doesn't really look like anything. It's kind of the dude looks good though, Steve. Like I will back you up on that one. The dude actually looks pretty good. But even it's not perfect, but it works.
Yeah, it's a lot better. Like I wouldn't even if I love 40-Year-Old Virgin, which I'm not a huge fan of it, I wouldn't want to have some half-waxed furry dude on my shelf, right? It's just, I don't know, man. It's not my thing.
That's what I mean by it's not that collectible. You know what I mean? Like it's a meme. It's a classic. But
it would be funnier as a pop though. Like you have his little pop test or whatever. That'd be funnier than this.
Fair enough.
Like boring dude. But yeah, whatever. There it is. 40-Year-Old Virgin. Let me do actually screw this. I have a channel that I can do polls on. Let's do a poll on this. Who would buy? I don't know. How should we frame this poll? Ken and
Steve. Would you buy this crap? And you spell this as DIS.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So we're not gonna lead the witness. Just say, but okay.
These movie Maniacs releases.
How many times can I vote? I wonder.
Get your votes in now, folks. If anybody from McFarlane is watching this right now,
can vote on my phone. Can vote on the computer.
I mean, we'll vote for with our wallet, right?
There we go.
Also, if anybody ever can hit the like button right now, we have nearly 300 people watching. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get more people watching.
And for those haters, just so you know, dislikes still breed engagement.
Yeah, dislikes work too. If you hate us, you hate me, you hate Ken. I don't know how you could hate Ken. Ken's a sweetheart.
I just confessed to being a Vancouver Canucks fan, so I think I just gained about 2 haters. And only 2.
Just 2. That's it. But yeah, let's see. Riley Bob, I may consider buying the dude, but realistically, the world deserves a fully articulated dude.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what we get. And we won't fuss or fit. But maybe the dude will tilt the scales one way or another. I have this one up here. Let's show the dude. Maybe a more idealized version of this. But then you've got where is he? The Days of Confused one. It's kind of cool. What is this? Like, what is this on the shelf? I just feel like this is so 90s. This is what any of a 90s, late 90s action figure for a movie. Well, not action figure, but a figurine for a movie would be.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem to work. I mean, at the end of the day, we might not be able to put our finger on it, but it's like, yeah, no. You know?
And Allison Troy, I think, hits the nail right on the head. Todd will make these, but still no superpowers. Black Canary, Supergirl, or Cheetah. Sure, Todd.
She'll have to go back and buy the DC Universe Classics, even though they don't scale super well with the McFarlane ones. So
yeah.
Anyway, happy birthday, Allison. And no,
that's right. It's her birthday today. Happy
birthday. It's actually her birthday. This is not a happy birthday Jacob situation where every day
happy birthday.
Yeah, please. Can we give Allison Troy as many birthdays in the chat as possible? one of my favorite people in our toy community. And I hope she's had a really good birthday. We were chatting earlier.
My understanding is she's had a pretty good birthday.
Yeah, I think so. I believe so. But yeah. All right, let's see, gentlemen. It's just out of 100%. Where do you think the scales went one or another? Steve, what do you think? People saying yes or no to buying these figures?
Well, I had to jump over to YouTube and press the yes just because of my guilty conscience about buying the dude, right? So it's like, I got to tip these scales. So I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of no's, though.
Okay. You want to give it a guess on percentage?
No, I don't. I'm not that foolish.
Okay. Ken, you want to put a guess?
Well, I mean, if it was just the 40-year-old version figure, I would agree with Rick Jones over here. But when you add Big Lebowski, I'm still going to say it's probably 70-30, like 70 no, 30 yes, because, you know, like I said, the dude tips the scales.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to end the poll right now. Your final results. 86% say no.
Oh.
13% say yes. And I think the 13% is only for the dude.
Yeah, that was probably just me.
But we had 123 votes. So it's we have a few more yeses to push it than just you, Steve. So don't feel too bad.
Okay. Well, I got a Dominion voting software machine plugged in through here.
Oh,
so
yeah?
it proves my numbers.
Oh, there you go. Brick something, hear me out. Collectors want to create Madame Tussauds wax museum for their action figures, so no articulation is perfect. Unemployed McFarlane dude.
Nice.
Oh man. Yeah. Good times. Let's see. Gonna save my money for Transformers 1. Hey, I don't know that the designs look kind of interesting. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
I don't know. Talk to Ken. He's the Transformers guy. When I saw the preview and I was like, Megatron is best buddies with, I don't know.
Hey, let's see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Exactly. You're welcome, Allison Troy. Happy birthday. See, McFarlane wants to be the one who decides what your toy shelf looks like. Very true, PD Dubs. All right. Let's keep going. Let's talk about this little tease from the Mondo peeps.
Nice.
And we've known a Bane is coming for a while. And God, I think they previewed at least a render of it at PowerCon. So we know C2E2 is coming up this Monday. No, this next weekend. So we can assume we're going to see a Bane there. I wanted to take this moment to guess if anybody has any guesses for other types of reveals that we may have during this upcoming weekend for Mondo. They've said they're going to have big reveals. So what reveals do we think are going to happen? Ken must be using the restroom. Steve, do you have any?
Well, I don't know. They just revealed Tila just a little while ago, did they not?
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty huge. I can't imagine that they'd already be able to have another Motu one in the barrel, because Tila was that was huge. That was so well done. But I guess it's possible they have another Motu.
Maybe. I would guess. I would definitely say a Motu of some sort. To me, them saying, I think it was Peter that said it, get your streams ready, meaning they're going to have things that are noteworthy to talk about, right? It's not just run of the mill, I'm thinking stuff that maybe licenses they haven't even tapped into yet. That's what I would say.
Didn't you run the Mondo panel at PowerCon?
I did. I moderated the panel at PowerCon. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So there you go. And I wasn't using the restroom. I was actually trying to vote in the poll, but then I said, Johnny, come lately over there. Sorry, you've already entered the poll. You're not going to skew the 13% any lower than it already is. So, yeah. And sorry, you're just saying you're wondering what's the next thing going to be?
Like what kind of reveals? I mean, so clearly they're teasing Bane. So I assume we'll see either a 3D printed and painted one, or maybe a close to production one at C2E2. But like what reveals? And again, my guess is if they're saying it's as cool as they say it's going to be, I would assume the lead story next Sunday is going to be whatever that stuff is. But any thoughts on maybe what could be coming?
So not another Trapjaw repaint is what we're not hoping to see, right? So we've had a few of those, haven't we?
Flash has a good thought. I didn't even think about. How did I not think about this? Flash, real Ghostbusters, get your streams ready.
Could be.
That's a great guess. That would make my year. Make my freaking, I don't know, adulthood. Riley Bob, a new Attack Peter style Universal Monsters. That's a damn good guess. It's a really good guess.
So O-Ring and 1/6 Ghostbusters in the same general year. That's a great
O-Ring Ghostbusters. I'm not as hot about. My policy now is if it's not Delta 17 making the O-Rings, I don't know if I want them. That's my policy.
Thank you.
But Drew Chase, Mondo, Thundercats. Thundercats is a big. People have been calling Mondo to do Thundercats since they've been doing Moto.
That'd be wild.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, the way they're knocking it out of the park with their Motu stuff is simply incredible. So that's
just the different head expressions on Lion-O that you could get, like when he's holding the sword versus when he's not holding the sword. Yeah, Mondo would be the right people absolutely to do this.
Oh yeah.
You look at the options out there. There's Mondo, there's Hot Toys, there's 3-0, like of the 1/6 companies. I see Mondo being absolutely geared to be the ones to do this. Yeah, I'd love that.
If only we got the Mondo sculpts in a smaller scale and cheaper price. I mean, that's the white whale with Mondo. Do you think? I don't think they'd get into revealing that. I don't know if they can. I don't think they can.
I mean, they're busy enough as it is.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's like a licensing thing. Like, I don't know if they can play in that pond, I guess. That's the dream. If they could play in a smaller scale.
But the thing is, you always talk about the form factor, right? Super 7 has that 6.5-inch form factor. So how close can you get to that scale without self-cannibalizing and competing with yourself as far as product is concerned? That's a great.
But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, and this is no offense to Super 7 or NECA, whoever else does scale or whatever, that's scale. But if Mondo could translate their 1/6 sculpts into 1/12 sculpts, doesn't Mondo win?
So you become you're kind of going to like the Mezco kind of realm a little bit.
Maybe I guess I feel like Mezco, and again I like Mezco, but I feel like it has cloth goods and stuff. I just feel like Mondo is making really big action figures and not like cloth goods, like highly well sculpted dolls. Which again, I love.
I was just thinking, like high end 1/12 is kind of where I thought you were going with it. But you're right, Mondo would put their own style into it. Inevitably, they'd get compared with Mezco.
Sure,
but yeah, imagine if Mondo could do that. Yeah, they'd break new ground.
Because I just feel like, and in this, Eric, I think you're right. Like they just, at least with X-Men and Batman the Animated Series, they really are, they nail the looks. And if they could translate, we're just fan casting here, but if they could hit that scale, that smaller, I think it would be game over.
Yeah.
I would love Mondo animated
You would.
Come on. Totally like animated Beetlejuice. Yeah. Fearing the worst when someone trends like that. Oh, Peter Cullen. Yeah. Hope I didn't even see that. Let's see. He's alive, right?
Probably
His
because
birthday or
he's not
something?
on. Well, probably because he's not on Transformers 1. That's probably one of the reasons why. Like,
Okay.
they're all wondering why he's not voicing it, because they're going in a different direction with Transformers 1 with Chris Hemsworth as Optimus, right? So,
yeah.
that's all that.
They're probably just
right?
upset that he's not voicing him again. Or it's kind of like,
that's what
I don't
people
know.
are saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Whatever.
like, dude. Yeah. Anyway.
It's the internet. People get ticked off about everything on the internet.
Oh, never.
But yeah, Mondo Launchpad. There we go. I feel like anything, if they did, I don't know, just the sculptors that we've had Alex on before, he does magic.
Yeah.
And if they could play in a smaller scale pool, I don't think that'll happen. At least I don't think we'll get that reveal this weekend. I feel like there will be a new license though. I think you don't say, hey, there's going to be some big reveals if they're not going to do a new license. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
That's true. Huh.
Garfield.
I like that.
Nice.
I might buy that if I see Garfield.
Yeah.
You know what though? I think if it was a 1/1 scale Garfield, I think like if it was like Lorenzo Music Garfield.
Yes.
I think I would get it. Maybe I'm crazy. I loved Garfield growing up.
Yeah, we all did. Garfield,
Yeah.
Garfield and Friends.
Yeah, well, it's Garfield and Friends, and I would get the the collected books of the year's worth of comics or whatever.
Well, here's a bit of an Easter egg since we're talking about Mondo.
Yeah.
You know who sculpted? And Steve loves this tidbit of information. You know who sculpted 10 of the 12 Delta 17 figures in this initial wave? Tommy Hodges from Mondo.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, bit of an Easter egg there.
Yeah, Tommy Hodges is now head sculptor at Mondo. So he's the guy that worked on Battle Cat and Tila and Trapjaw.
The deluxe Skeletor. She-Ra. He did one of the She-Ras.
Beautiful work. Just incredible.
Yeah, right. We were his pandemic project when we were in the sculpting phase. So,
well, that that worked out pretty well, didn't it?
Yes,
I guess so.
Yes, it did.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. To me, I love every. There's very few swing and misses on the Mondo side of the house. Very rare. And but my one knock against them would be the scale, right? It's kind of like I can't have every single X-Men character in that scale. I can't have every single Batman character in that scale. And same for Thundercats. If they do Thundercats, I can't have them all on that scale. If they did Ghostbusters, my dream line, that would be the one thing I maybe would have to that, but still I would much rather just have it in a smaller scale so I could have a whole bunch of them on a shelf.
Who did the last 1/6 Ghostbusters?
Diamond Select.
Diamond Select, right? Okay.
Diamond Select.
For 1/6. 1/6, not 1/12. Anyway.
1/12. I'm sorry. Nobody's done
one. I was thinking 1/6. The Hot Toys did
1/6 is Blitzway. Blitzway did 1/6.
Okay. I was trying to figure out because I didn't think it was Hot Toys, but I was wondering. So
yeah,
I don't know. Like, is it time to do it again? I don't know. Right? Have they lost the license to do? Has their license expired to do 1/12 or 1/6? Now I'm not mixing scales up.
You're right, but listen, Giraffe. If you join After Dark tonight, I'll explain why I probably couldn't because I'm maxed out on space in my toy room. I've got toys all over the place at the moment. But anywho, yeah, Blitzway did the 1/6, but anyway, yeah, we'll see. And then Quip MBD D17 just had Mondo's head sculptor before it was cool.
Yep.
Let's talk about this. This, at least in the GDL Discord, was a little bit of controversy today. Looking at, or at least a couple days ago, whatever it was, this past week. We're getting a retro Carnage, but we have white painted teeth when Carnage in the series never had white teeth. They were always like black teeth.
Right.
Is this a deal breaker for the figure, or is this an easy fix with a Sharpie?
Depends if you have a Carnage already, if you don't, but there's been a bunch released. Yeah. Right. So this would be for like new collectors who didn't get one in the past, right? Because how many have we seen Hasbro make? Right.
Yeah,
so,
it's great. People in the chat, listen, how many Carnages have we gotten so far?
Right. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's been a while since the last one. Maybe they just did one last year. I don't know. But when I go and like buy like used lots of toys for Marvel Legends, there's always a bunch of Carnages, right? Going all the way back to the Spider-Man Classics era that was done by Toy Biz, right? So there's always been a 6-inch Carnage out there. So it's like you'd want their detailing to get better, not worse. Right? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, some people are saying in the chat, you know, give me a Sharpie and fix it. Like it's relatively simple. So, you know.
But it seems like a rare miss on the Marvel side of the house. Like I feel like it's maybe MCU Legends are kind of uninspiring to me, but I think just because I like the comic versions better.
I mean, it depends who's making the decision. Like I can't see Ryan or Dan missing this.
Right? I just don't see them doing that.
Right?
Yeah, this would be like a managerial decision because basically you do need some contrast. If you had just black teeth, you wouldn't be able to see it. But when you make them white, they really stick out. They work with the eyes. So you have some composition there between the eyes and the teeth. Artistically, it's perfect, right? Yeah. The way that they pop out of the character. But when you paint them black, you can't really see that anymore, and just the eyes pop out. So you have this imbalance in the design. Yeah. So this is probably a managerial decision where the guy was like, I can't really see this, you know, and they're like, well, yeah, the classic guy's always black. I don't care because, you know, we got to make this pop, right? So artistically, it makes sense. Business-wise, it makes sense because it complements the eyes. It pops out at you. But for those who are really, really into sticking true to the Bible of Spider-Man, yeah, they're going to be a bit miffed.
You know, Steve, stop talking like a guy that runs a toy company or something like that.
Sorry,
you know.
Listen, I love having people that make toys on. We had the Mondo, Peter and Hector on when we were kind of given some shade to Playmates for their Turtles figures, and they had some really reasoned, like fair reasons why it maybe looks the way it did in that picture. But
yeah,
no, a couple of the comments here from the chat. Just replace this Carnage head with that 40-year-old virgin head. Easy upgrade. Froba Fett, about 5 Carnages recently, in terms of how many we've had. Make Mine Marvel said they just did one in the animated VHS pack. Steven Shanks, it's a crossover with Crest whitening strips.
Free advertising.
Exactly. It's big these days. Cross promotion. Fett's Hasbro is just trying to promote proper tooth care. James Venable says the OG toy had white teeth, right? And Brian Brink, actually, his complete deco is off from the cartoon. So there you go. Okay. But I'm kind of curious now. The vintage or eBay vintage Carnage figure, vintage Carnage Marvel. Let's see. Okay, there you go. Vintage one, white teeth.
Sealed.
Accurate, people. It's also $24 if you want it on eBay right now.
Not bad.
So not it is vintage accurate, if not comic accurate.
I'm always amazed when vintage figures don't go up in price. This Playmates, Star Trek, Power of the Force.
Because Playmates and Toy Biz made so many figures.
Yeah.
Like they had to have, like, I don't know the counts, but X-Men, like any Marvel Toy Biz figure, they had to have made tens of thousands of, because they're so cheap. They're still so cheap.
Huh.
Well, that's good. It means we can hop on that collection anytime. And
that's kind of the thing. Like I'm slowly, I'm re-diving into X-Men, Toy Biz X-Men figures because of X-Men 97.
yes.
And it's not like, even with X-Men kind of at the forefront of nerd culture again with this fantastic series. Oh God, I know, right? Isn't it so good? So good.
Spoiler alert for it's been a few days. We can say who's alive and who's dead.
No,
right?
you gotta no. Keep it secret.
I'm still 2 episodes behind.
Steve, you're too behind.
So yeah.
And I haven't spoiled any on any of our business calls at all.
I need to. Can I watch the 5th episode with you? That's we're gonna have a viewing party.
Episode.
Yeah, we're gonna have
Steve, watch the 5th episode at the end of the night when you're not doing anything else. No work, nothing, and then let yourself decompress for 30 minutes after.
Okay, will I have a big cry or what?
I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything. You just have to watch it and find out, Steve. No hints.
Okay. Our lips are sealed.
Fair.
Why can't I find a transforming Punisher then, Jay? Well, those are harder to find. I have one right here. Oh, he's within arm's reach. There we go. If you haven't seen my
I've seen your video on this one.
Crotch Rocket Punisher review.
The heck is that?
Oh, Steve, you have to know about this figure. Do you not know about this figure?
Wow, this is wedding day Punisher or what? Wow.
So in the late 90s, Toy Biz did these transforming figures, and the Punisher makes sense, transformed into a handgun. That logically makes sense for a Punisher figure. But for some reason, mid-transformation, now it didn't end this way, but mid-transformation, you pull the barrel of the gun out of his crotch.
Wow, I need that. That's the greatest toy fail ever.
Usually that's how I found about it. Like, it was like, oh, ban toys or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was actually I actually got in touch with a few toy experts, and they kind of set the record straight. It was never banned. It just, it was only like years later on the internet that people said it was banned.
So it was canceled more than it was banned. It was canceled due to like proper, respectful culture.
No, it wasn't even canceled.
No, but I mean, like, people, like, when you're canceled, the slang term for canceled, right?
It wasn't even cancel cultured. It was just they sold it for like 3 years.
Okay. Never mind. I stand correct. I completely stand corrected.
Anyways, I did this investigative journalism video on my channel about it. And what I found out was it being canceled or recalled or whatever was completely untrue. It sold for like 3 years. And nobody gave a crap about it back then. It was only until later when, people made blog posts and stuff like that. They're like, oh, this figure was recalled because it transformed into a...
Speaking of gag gifts, you buy that, you buy the 40-year-old virgin, just have a shelf of like controversial figures, what I mean?
Right.
I love Flash. I think you have number one comment on this one. The sales went flaccid. It stopped itself.
There we go.
Boom.
All right. Let's see. Any other? I guess those are the big, big news things out of the big companies. Brick Something sent this in that I think is pretty exciting for the I don't know, people that love classify but also love third-party stuff.
The fans
hobby.
Yep.
Teased a
Skyhawk.
A classified
Skyhawk. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Skyhawk. Thoughts here? I guess, third party, bit of a dirty word to some people, some other people not so much. There's some really cool third party things. But gentlemen, where do you side on this? Maybe tapping into...
Well, Fans Hobby made a really good like Power Master Optimus Prime that was really popular, right? I went to my friend's house, I saw that. Fans Hobbies, not to be confused with Fans Project or Fans Toys, all of which are third-party Transformers companies. They must be tapping into the G.I. Joe classified line. I didn't look too deeply into this. I just saw the photo, right? I mean, with Ramen Toy doing the bridge layer, you know, people are recognizing the sort of like popularity in G.I. Joe. So this is I don't think a Skyhawk is a difficult thing to make. So they're probably doing it as a market tester. It's kind of my feel. And if it does well, then we'll go from there. Right. I mean, you know, you see Gridiron Studios doing their upgrades to the Vamp. You know, they've done their like pack rat type of things, and they've done their howitzer, the mountain howitzer, which they did on Kickstarter. So a lot of people are trying to get ahead of the game with vehicles for G.I. Joe. Because that's what all the third-party companies did for years with Masterpiece Transformers. They tried to beat Takara and Hasbro to market. They know that G.I. Joe Classified's focus is on the figures. And then when they do vehicles, they either do small vehicles or they do a big HasLab. But the HasLabs are once a year, right? So that's where, I mean, you know, now they're doing a bit more with the Vamp, the Ferret. You know, the Vamp is a mid-size vehicle and all that. But I could see this doing well, especially with Fans Hobbies' reputation.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of you look to Underground Arsenal on the Turtles side, where people actually prefer that van to some of the, you know, to NECA's offering. You know, some people think that's the best van out of the Turtle Van Wars. Like,
well, you had really good things to say about it in your review because you compared the three of them.
Yeah, I had all three. I think I still, like I said in the video, I give the slight edge to Super 7 one just because it's more of what I want. But in terms of, you know, price and what you got, it was incredible. So if third party is going to tap into giving us more, you know, classified, scaled, you know, army vehicles, that's pretty freaking cool. But where do we stand on the ethics of it all? Steve, I mean, you make you're a toy maker. Like, do you, if someone decided to make third party, I don't know, versions of your stuff, would you be ticked off about it, or just kind of like, I don't know, that's just kind of the name of the game?
Oh boy. Well, I mean, you know, I don't think we have to worry about that for a couple of years.
Hypothetical.
Okay, this is sort of like when my kids were younger and they're like, if Thanos like ate all the Infinity Gems and then, you know, went to fight against, anyways, they would come up with these crazy hypotheticals. I was just sit there and be like, I have no idea. I don't know, like some of the stuff is good for the market. You know, people want it. It's Hasbro has no intention of making it, perhaps, and I don't know how to answer that. That's so far down the road. I don't know.
As somebody's busy trademarking Delta 71 right now, calling it exactly that, right?
Yeah.
You know, look, they just try to get ahead of the game, right? Because what happened with a lot of the third-party Transformers, especially with the Masterpiece stuff, they'd make it, it'd be expensive, it would sell out, people would fight for it on the secondary market. Then, like 2 years later, Takara comes out and makes their own. It happened with, I mean, I don't know what happened to the third part to the market for the Masterpiece Hound, because that one had some. I think people weren't super happy with the Takara version of that one. They actually liked the third-party one better, but that's just the one that came to mind. But like for Sunstreaker, you know, all of a sudden nobody wanted the third-party Sunstreakers anymore. They wanted the regular version. So they have to capitalize while the market is hot. Right. And there's also that story about Fans Toys. They were going to make a Soundwave, and then Takara announced a Soundwave. I think it was 2012 era. And all of a sudden, Fans Toys did not release their acoustic wave third party for a long time, until their own reputation and their own internal fan base was ready to buy it. So, you know, while I understand that there's an appeal to get on people's shelves, it's not like before. Like when the third-party Transformers companies were coming up, a lot of us didn't understand toy making yet. We didn't understand what tooling was. We didn't know the different types of plastic. We couldn't tell resin from PVC, from ABS, from, you know, anything. So now that we know more about it and what it takes to make it, there's more people who are saying, oh, it's disrespectful, this, that, the other thing. Having said that, I back Ramen Toys, Great White Shark, and Aces of Aviation. So who am I to talk, right?
It is one of those things. And I've third party stuff as well. Like I'm not there's no shame, or at least I'm not feeling any shame about it. But I think it is just one of those things. But I lean more in it keeps the big boys from resting on their laurels, right? I think more competition is a good thing, right? And if there's nobody pushing any boundaries forward, or say in Ramen's case, like they're not doing anything with Mask, and maybe if this generates enough excitement, maybe that'll bring more official stuff. Or plus in the comment, yeah, here we go, Brian Brink, if it wasn't for third-party Transformers, my masterpiece shelves would be pretty barren. That being said, the Hasbro Joe team is killing it and have proven that they're going to be making these small vehicles. It is kind of a twist, but without third party, you wouldn't have a lot of the Transformers that
other than Bumblebee, and there's 11 or 12 mini bots in the first 2 seasons. All my other ones are third party. They're all either by fans' toys or ex-trans bots. Brian's absolutely right on that front. But again, that was an era where we didn't understand toy making. When I was buying it, Delta 17 was years and years off into the future, right? How I would feel about it, I'm not sure. By the time that happened, Transformers was making so much money and they were focusing on the movie franchise, the live action franchise at that point in time. Maybe they just didn't care. And then it kind of woke the beast to say, okay, well, we're going to have to make these figures now, right? So... Yeah.
It's a great point. Justin says ethics aren't an issue for me. I'm fine with third party entries into the line, but many, including me, will only buy the official line releases. I think if in most cases I'm a pretty goody two shoes, and I will prefer an official release. But if they're not going to do an official release, then yeah, absolutely, I'll go to third party to fill in a gap. 100%.
A lot of times someone will buy the third party and then maybe sell it, even sell it at a loss. I know I've done that before. And then, but that assumes that the official release is better. Someone in the chat was saying that some of the official Takara Masterpiece Transformers were not great.
Yeah.
And they absolutely weren't, you know. I know a lot of people complained about the second release of Bumblebee. I think it was the MP45 Bumblebee. People didn't like that, there's just, it's hit or miss even with the big companies.
Yeah, Brian Carr says fan toys are superior to Takara.
They are. The issue with really difficult. Like, I'm scared to transform them. I don't know if that's still the case, but back a few years ago, I did not want to touch the thing. If I transformed it once, it was once too many. But Brian can let me know if that's changed in the last few years. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, say Transformers and Ken goes off the rails.
Bernie Lomax, classified whale vehicle MFG, I'll buy 3 of them. But yeah, maybe if you start tapping into things that just Hasbro maybe doesn't have the wherewithal to put out, like, that'd be amazing. But a classified whale would be a literal size of a whale. Like,
it'd be something.
That'd be huge.
Insane. It'd be insane. But anywho, let's talk about a toy line that you all are working on, Delta 17. I did a live unboxing of the figures with you all with me. But now it's official, right? We can buy these things. Now's the time.
As of April 12th. Yep.
Yes, sir.
You can buy.
Store is live.
Toys. But for those that don't know, and I have my favorite figure so far. You, Steve, you have shepherded, like, I would say what Classified does in the 6-inch scale. Like, you have managed to, like, do it in the 3 3/4 inch O-ring scale, where you have that O-ring feel to the plastic, to the paint, to the O-ring itself. Yeah. But being able to, like, pack in so much into one figure at this scale, you've managed to pull that off with O-ring in a way that Hasbro hasn't come close to. But I guess if people don't know about this toy line, let's clue them into it. What's going on right now?
Delta17toys.com.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the chat for sure.
Yeah, and there's a discount code. So if you are buying 6 or more figures, there's a discount code Delta 10 off. So it's Delta 10 off. And it's all one word, no caps. That'll get you 10% off of 6 figures or more. If you have any issues, just let us know. Contact us at contact@delta17toys.com. We'll get it all fixed up for you. You know, because there is a lot of moving parts in these little guys. There's like 24 parts just on their body. So there might be some things where they put the wrong elbow on the wrong side and you'll get it and you'll be like, dang it. Just contact us. We'll send you another one. It's no big deal. But yeah, the store is open. It's been going really, really well. And thank you for your kind words. That was the goal, was to take what Hasbro did, what I think they perfected in the 80s and the 90s, that little O-ring the figure. I think they did such a fantastic job of it now. And our goal was to take that, to replicate the same quality, but then just try to turn the dial up about 10 to 20% in sculpt and function, articulation, accessories, things like that, so that people are not just revisiting more, but getting something just slightly new, right? So now we have swivel wrists, which a lot of our competitors do as well. You know, Longbow and Skeletron and all the others, they're all doing the same thing, and it really makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it really does. It really, really does. Graham, someone explain to me what an O-ring is. Steve, you want to take that one? If for those who don't know what O-rings are.
Yeah, sure. I mean, people just call them O-ring figures because on the inside there's an actual O-ring, like a gasket ring, you know, so a glorified rubber band that's quite a bit stronger than a rubber band, obviously, but it holds the figure together. So a good way to sum it up is just to say an O-ring, as opposed to, you know, you could say 3 3/4 inch retro figure, but then, you know, that could be anything as well, right?
Yeah, no, and what's great is, and Perny, you know, I'm guessing, you know, kind of tongue in cheek here, is O-ring rubber band. What's the expected life of the figure? What I do love about O-rings, especially vintage figure, yes, I mean, maybe if you're a carded collector, it's not so great because eventually your figure is going to disintegrate in the package. But if you're a loose figure collector, you can just swap out the O-ring and it's like good as new.
Yeah.
Well,
there's a lot of carded figures that you'll see out there from G.I. Joe from like 1984, 85. Their O-rings are still together. So that was a long time ago, you know, 40 years ago, and they're still doing fine. So, you know, as long as you keep them out of the sun and you're not storing them outside in the snow, you know, you should be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, so the toys finally available to purchase now. I know that you have a vehicle on the horizon, I believe, with I guess what's next for the line right now? Is it just taking the orders and seeing how this goes, and then we'll worry about next waves, maybe at Joe Fest, or like what's the?
There's too much going on. There's a lot going on. So thankfully, we sent a third of our stock to New Jersey to a really good fulfillment center, and they are fulfilling all orders to United States and international, and I handle all Canadian orders myself. As far as what else is going on, we're working on a comic book right now. It's about it's all written. The artwork is over halfway done. So that's good. When the comic is done, we will be posting it online for free, as well as you can buy the printed version if you want. We might do a that's not the official cover. That's just a temporary cover. But, you know, we might start throwing them into boxes of so and so many orders or more. We'll see what happens with that. We also are currently tooling up, or not tooling up, the tooling's done for that. Sorry. Production will start soon for a Joe Fest exclusive figure. So that's going to be a repaint of one of the figures that you already have out of the 12 here. So there, we made enough of them so that they will be available after Joe Fest for anybody who's a fan, and you can't be there. You can still buy them. And then we are currently tooling up a brand new, complicated and unique figure that will be an army builder. I think people will get a real kick out of him. So he's in the design studio right now in Hong Kong, being tooled up. And we call him our Wave 1.5 figure because we wanted him in Wave 1, but he was so much more complex, so much more unique, just very, very different, that we weren't able to sneak him in time. You know, it was like we had to shit or get off the pot. So we decided to get off the pot and just go already. So we've got that, and then we're starting sculpting on Wave 2 as well. So we've got the comic, Joe Fest exclusive, Wave 1.5, and Wave 2 will be progressing very soon.
Awesome. Awesome.
And the helicopter hind is slowly in the works.
Right. Yes. And we've got a monster vehicle that is currently being sculpted right now as we speak. So that'll be a big one.
Yeah. It's exciting. The fact that there was no Kickstarter, you're funded this all. It's all kind of ready to go. Is just for an indie toy line is a really impressive thing. Brick Something, who had these figures as well, blown away by how these things look and feel. Like Jay said, they pack in so much in this little form factor. It's what my vintage shows look like in my imagination. Great detailed designs.
Wow.
Great shout out by Brick there. And then Slave to Leia, my Carter Vintage Scarlet had a busted O-ring. Luckily, she's still positioned correctly in the bubble. Yeah, exactly. As long as it kind of stays in there, you're fine.
Yeah,
shaking.
That's the important part, right? So
yeah. But yeah. Let's see. Bernie Lomax, would you say Delta 17 is like G.I. Joe in a way or totally different, like Action Force? What would you say to that question?
G.I. Joe inspired. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, it's similar in some ways. You know, definitely the toy is very similar to the 80s, 90s toy, but you'll see that the sculpts, you know, thankfully thanks to modern technology, we were able to really pack more stuff in and really ramp up the detail and not make it too garish. You know, I think you'll really enjoy them, really appreciate them. As far as our lore goes, our world, we're quite a bit different. We're not in the 80s so much. You know, the Dark Shadows and Retrograde, those are the two factions that make up the bad guys. They're not trying to take over the world. They already have control over the world. It's just the fact that the public is not aware.
That's right.
So Delta 17 is also, and so both sides, the good and the bad, they both operate in the shadows. Nobody's really aware that either team exists. And so it is literally a war in the shadows because there have been so many senators and presidents and whatever else that have been bought off or blackmailed or whatever it is to basically give up their positions of power and no longer represent the people, but represent the interests of the dark shadows. So
awesome.
So, something I've loved what you added is the articulation at the wrist.
It's nice, you know, because if a gun has like the foregrip on it, you can actually get both hands onto to both grips and hold it properly. So I love that little feature.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Nelson A in the chat says he just bought some refreshing Shopify, and I see your order. Awesome.
Thank you.
A little big brother, Ken, if you ask me.
Yeah. One thing to note though, everyone out there, with the swivel wrist though, there is really tight tolerances in there. We had to split the elbow or the forearm, excuse me, into two parts. And then there's a little plug that goes in there as one piece as the hand. Sometimes you will get it and it will just be stuck. Try running under warm water, a few things like that a couple of times to free it. If that doesn't work, let us know and we will try to hook you up, because there will be a couple of times where we've seen it already 3 times out of the, but which isn't bad because we've sold, you know, a couple thousand or more figures. So it's not bad, but we do see, you know, there will be some quality control issues from time to time, and just get a hold of us and we'll try to make it right.
Boom. There you go.
Yeah, we've had a few already who said, yeah, either a
Ooh.
wrist was stuck and then, we had a broke off wrist because the person was trying to twist it, didn't quite work, but we took care of them. I said, just send us your order number via email. I mean, you can message us, but typically when I answer the messages, I just say, we got to keep this tracked. So send us the order number and the photo via email is really the best way. Then at least Steve knows in order what to go through. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Please send a photo, order number, name. That way I can pass the photo over to the project manager who can bug the factory. We can start to look for better quality control and all that stuff in the future. So they really dial it in, because it's been, decades since they've made figures like this really on this sort of scale. I mean, they've experimented with it, I guess, from time to time. Well, I guess it hasn't been decades. I mean, Hasbro did the Toys R Us stuff. They did. Yeah, okay. I don't know what I'm talking about. I got nothing.
No, I mean, it's
Awesome.
fine. It's just that still you're adding the swivel wrists, right?
Yeah.
And so there's still quite a bit extra, right? Like there's a lot of detail in these. Your weapons are very realistic. So yeah, and not every factory has done these before in the past. Like we don't know the current factory's experience with O-rings previously, for example.
Yeah.
Who is this? I mean, maybe given some of the slight QC issues on the wrists, but getting very minuscule in the grand scheme of things. But J-Rod asks, one thing I wish O-ring figures had was rocker ankles. How hard would it be to add rocker ankles? I think it would make them easier to stand without stands.
We've had this question. Yeah.
That would be almost impossible. At that scale, you're getting to such tight tolerances that if anything is slightly off, you force it, you break it. And then there's also the whole concept of we could just keep going and going until we have ab crunch, we have butterfly shoulders, and etc. And then it's like, well, now you're a modern figure. It's like, oh yeah, crap. How did we get here?
Well,
right?
That's just it, right? You start getting that modern construction instead at that point.
But we're constantly looking at innovating. I don't think we want to, we're not going to be religious about this. Like in some ways we are. We really want to uphold that legacy and do a good service to the toy community out here. Like, hindsight is whatever 2020, as they say, right? So with my big wall of GI Joes that I got over there, I can stare at them for hours and hours and find all the weak spots and all the strong points and all that stuff, and I can incorporate it into my line or avoid it, or whatever the case may be. So that's the good part about where we're at right now. We're afforded that. We've got the 40,000 foot view on this in some ways, but at the same time, we're running into little issues where, one guy sent me a photo of Death Sparrow with 2 left hands. I was like, are you serious? Sends the photo. I'm like, how can you miss that? But anyways, whatever. I don't want to beat on anyone. These people are just trying to make a living and all that stuff, right? So it just struck me as funny.
It's perfection's impossible. You just try to strive as close to it as possible.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that is as good a place as any to wrap it up. If people are watching this on the replay, I am going to add a link to delta17toys.com. Again, can you redrop that promo code too? I'll put the promo code in the description as well. But if you use the Delta 10 off, get 10% off your order for anybody that is ordering them. But as I get things wrapping up here, again, if you all want to come and revel in the stupidity of what I'm attempting to do right now in my toy room, you can come to our GDL After Dark, where I will be sharing some big changes to my toy room and how I'm presenting my collection right now. I'm going to talk about some of the things maybe that won't make the cut. I'm going to kick out and sell. So come hang out, GDL After Dark, patreon.com/GeekDadLife, or just search Geek Dad Life on Patreon. $5 or more, you get exclusive access to the After Dark show, Discord, and more. You can also get to have your name in the credits of every live stream, including this one. thanks to all of the patrons. Ken, what's going on in your world right now? What's coming up? People need to tune in to you for.
Yeah, so I mean, you can find me on Toy Kennections. With the Delta 17 launch and everything, and answering a lot of the inquiries on social media, I did not drop a video last week, but I will be dropping History of G.I. Joe 1989. We're going to close out the 80s. So it'll be like a 20-minute video that I'll drop this coming Friday. And yeah, just come look for my channel for toy histories, toy insights, retrospectives, a little bit of independent review stuff. And yeah, just always love the community. And buy some Delta 17 toys while you're at it.
Boom, buy some Delta 17 toys. Steve, what do you, I mean, you've got toys coming out, but anything people should be following you on, or where should people be checking you at?
Well, yeah, they can follow us on Facebook or Instagram, Delta 17 Toys. On either of those, we give a lot of updates on there. That's you know, and then there's our website, delta17toys.com. And as Bernie Lomax here was asking, do we have any plans for vehicles? Yes, we are sculpting up a gigantic Soviet era Hind D helicopter. So the MIL Mi-24D, they're still used to this day, so they're still a modern vehicle. We're going to do it right. We're going to take our time, and I think you'll love it. So that is one that we might put into a Kickstarter, just because it'd be good to find homes for as many as we can, as opposed to me having to stock, you know, like 5,000 or 10,000 of them somewhere and just be like, oh crap, right? So we're going to try to release it in about 2 to 3 different paint schemes, and we'll try to find homes for them and base our orders off of the reactions and the orders. So, but we will tool it up prior to starting the Kickstarter. So we will be investing our own money into the tooling and the sculpting portion of it, so people won't have to worry like, oh crap, now I have to wait 2 years. No, you don't. You don't have to wait 2 years. Like, I'm not trying to poop on anyone who does Kickstarters. I love Kickstarters. I order tons of them. It's the best way. I
backed a few just recently.
Yeah, if that's the only way that it works, that I get these awesome toys like Longbow or Skeletron, count me in, because I want those toys,
Recall.
right?
Yeah,
Recall, etc. There's so many good ones out there. So what I'm trying to say is that we will have this thing pretty much on the verge of ready to go. We're not going to press play at the factory yet until we do run through a Kickstarter and we get an idea. Well, so and so many people want this retrograd version. So and so many people want the classic Soviet version. So and so many people want the Cobra Blue version, or whatever it is, right? So we'll see.
It's a napalm scented candle.
Yeah, I love that in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, that is going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We'll be here next week. I mean, if whatever Mondo reveals is so insane, I guess I'll do a special one, but more than likely we'll talk about it next week's Toy Geeks. And yeah, please, Delta17toys.com. Use promo code Delta10 off to get 10% off your orders. Patrons, I'll see you in After Dark. Got a lot to talk about there. Ken, you said you could join for a little bit. See you
I just might be queuing up the hockey game in the background if you don't mind. That's
no worries at all.
So,
you know. But anyways, thank you so much for hanging out tonight, everybody. Until next time, hasta luego and goodbye.
See you guys.